our calendar for November, and we're starting a new month. We're starting a new month and finishing one chapter. Chapter 2 is the last week. This one is the last week on chapter 2. We are finishing on Friday. We will have our tests, the chapter 2 tests. But as usual, on Thursday we're going to have a review. There's one day that we're going to review the topics on chapter 2 tests, and actually we're going to work on a quiz that will be very, very, very similar to the tests. Most of the questions are going to be similar. Maybe I change a number, maybe I change just slightly, a little bit the question, or maybe I don't even change, I keep the same question. It depends on what I feel when we work here together on Thursday. Okay, we're going to work a quiz, and Friday is going to be a test based on the same quiz that we're going to work on Thursday, the review quiz. And we finish chapter 2. We're going to start chapter 3 next week. And actually this month here of November we have several breaks, several days off. We have Veterans Day next week, we have Thanksgiving, a whole week of Thanksgiving. So we're gonna struggle a little bit to finish chapter 3 because we have lots of days off on November. That's our calendar, that's what we have planned for November. And now a quick review from last Friday. Let me know, type here in the chat box if you still have any questions about last Friday. We have seen this, basic functions, how to graph basic functions. And what is important here, what you need to actually understand and apply and work is to match the equation, the function, with the graph. So this is the function. The equation of the identity function is this one. You have to match with this graph. You have to know that this is going to be the shape of the graph for the identity function. For the quadratic function, this is the function, x squared, and the shape is going to be a U shape. For the cubic function, we have the cubic function here. Is going to be something like an S or something like this. And every time you see this kind of shape, you remember it's going to be the cubic function. The next functions that we have 6 basic functions. And we have absolute value function is going to be the V shape. It's a V shape. So you have to match, every time you see absolute value, you remember you're going to find a V shape. For the square root function, this is the shape that you're going to find. It's the U shape laying down. It's like this. It's the U shape laying down, half of the U. Just half of the U laying down. And the reciprocal function is this one. 2 curves pointing to opposite sides with this gap here in the middle. This is the reciprocal function. Again, what you have to do is to match the function, the equation of the function with the graph. Okay. Moving. Still a review, and that's how the question is going to look like. Remember last Friday's quiz? And we have here, actually I forgot to show you a few answers from last Friday's quiz. I'm gonna bring also some feedback, some answers from last Friday's quiz. These are half of the answers for last Friday's quiz, because some students are asking me, after I return the assignments to you, if you didn't submit the quiz, if you didn't finish the quiz and submit it, you still can work on the quiz and you can submit even if it is returned. So last Friday, you still have these answers here, you still can submit it, right? The only thing that's going to happen, you're not going to have extra credit because you're submitting after the due date, but you're still going to have the points for the questions that you get right. So this is a feedback, a few answers that you can have for last Friday's quiz that you still can submit, but you're not going to have extra credit, okay? Because it's after the due date. All right, the questions that you have on last Friday quiz is something like that. You have the equation, and one equation, for instance, is this one: kx equals x cubed minus 2. X cubed is cubic equation, right? Cubic function. Cubic function. The shape of the cubic function is something like that. This is kind of an S, kind of a snake. No, this is the shape you're going to find. And usually you're going to have 12, 10, or 6 options, and you're going to find two very similar shapes. You have one here, this is one shape that might be the right answer, and this is another shape that might be the right answer. How to figure it out, how to find out which one is the right answer. And the key is right here, is the y-intercept. If you make x equals 0, you're going to have k of x equals y equals 0 cubed minus 2, and then you're going to find the y-intercept, negative 2. Check the graph of the function, check which one has negative 2. And this one actually have negative 2, and this doesn't have negative 2. See, negative 2, the graph doesn't cross negative 2. The right answer is not going to be this. The right answer is that one right here. Okay? And we will work on a few make on the quiz today. That's what you have to do. You have two options. Check the y-intercept to make sure which one is the right answer. Questions so far? Any questions? Any questions at all? No questions? Let's move. Let's move. And the topic, just one little thing. That was a review. We finished the review from last Friday, and now the topic of today's class, the new topic. The new topic today is this: definition of a quadratic function. And we have seen before that the simplest quadratic function, the basic one is this: f of x equals x squared, right? But the full definition of quadratic function is that one. Quadratic function is a function defined by f of x equals ax squared plus bx plus c, where a, b, and c are numbers, and a is going to be different from 0. If you check out this, the basic one, the simplest one, a is going to be 1, b is going to be 0, and c is going to be 0. And then you're going to find this, the simplest, the basic quadratic function. The graph of a quadratic function has a name, a special name, is a parabola, the U shape, and the leading coefficient, A, will determine if the direction of the parabola, if it's pointing up or pointing down. And checking on the next line, what does it mean? If you have a greater than 0, let me use green. If you have a greater than 0, you're going to have the parabola pointing up. This one here. And this you can say is a smiley face. See? Is a greater than 0, you're going to have a smiley face. The parabola, the opening of the parabola is pointing up. And if you have a less than 0, that means a negative, you're going to have a sad face. You're going to have a sad face, This one here is a less than 0. The opening of the parabola is pointing downwards. Okay? And you can remember this by looking at the face. Happy face, a greater than 0, and sad face, a less than 0. Positive, here is going to be positive, here a negative. Cool? Moving? Questions so far? Any questions? And the last thing, this is what we will work today on the quiz, and how to identify each function and check if the function is linear, constant, quadratic, or not known, let's say other kind of function. Other kind of function. For letter A, and how do we do this? For letter A, check it out. We have this, f of x equals -4. -4 is a number. We don't have any variables. We just have only a number as the function, right? So this is going to be constant. Constant function. This is a constant function. Letter B. Letter B. Now we have, let me start here. Letter B. Now we have f of x equals x squared plus 3x plus 2. If you have the x squared on the function, this is going to be a quadratic. Remember the last slide? Quadratic function. Letter C. F of x equals 7 minus 2x. You only have x. You don't have any exponents. The x is not on the denominator. You don't have any square root. You don't have any absolute value function. So this is going to be linear. Okay. For D, D is kind of the same thing, because D, you have x on the numerator, not on the denominator. X on the numerator. So it's going to be linear. And don't have any exponents, don't have anything, only x by itself, linear. And E, now the x is on the denominator. Here the x is on the denominator. Remember, this is a reciprocal function. So it's going to be other kind of function. It's not going to be constant, not quadratic, not linear. It's other kind of function. That's what we're going to work today on the quiz. These kind of questions here. Right? Do you think you're ready to work on the quiz? Is there any questions at all? Can we move on and work on the quiz? If you have questions, you can also ask during the quiz. Not a problem. But if you have any questions that you want to ask now, let me know. Type here in the chat. And you will say, I think I got it. Okay, thank you, Will, for the feedback. Thank you. If there are no questions, let's move to the quiz. But first, let's try to solve our puzzle. The puzzle, the today bell work, which is this math puzzle. And Kalia is asking a question here. I know that A in the quiz lines up to 0 and 2, but I can't read the graph that well. Okay, Kalia, good question. Because if you cannot read the graph, and here we've got 34. Let's check. If you cannot read the graph, you can go, I created here a link. Check it out, this. Click here to see larger picture of the quiz. So you click on this link. If you click, you're gonna open a file. Oops, sorry. It's opening a file where you can see the pictures much better, see? So click on this link and you can actually zoom in on the pictures. You're gonna see much better. Right here, after number 4, click to see larger pictures of the quiz. Oh, okay. But what you're gonna have to do here, and we're gonna work on the quiz. Let's work on the bell work first. But what we're going to check here is this, is the y-intercept. That's what we're going to check to find out the right answer. And we will see this in the quiz. Let's check our bell work, and then we're going to move to the quiz. What do you think is the right answer? And we have a few answers. I have Johnny L with 33, Magic 34, Julian 34, Angeline 33, Ewell 34. What do you think is the right answer? Remember, we have equations on the horizontal line, equations on the vertical line, and you have to solve a few equations to find E. What do you think is the right answer? It's 33. The answer for our puzzle is 33. Congratulations for you all that got the right answer, and thank you for participating. Thank you for helping me out with this puzzle. It's kind of a silly puzzle, but I think it's a little bit fun. All right, let me clear this. And working on the quiz now. Let's we warm it up. The brain is now warmed up, and we can work on the quiz. First question, you have to match equation, the equation of the function with the graph. And the first function that we have here is q of x equals x squared plus 2. So let's go to the graphs, to the options that we have available. And we know that this is a quadratic function. X squared is a quadratic function. The shape of a quadratic function is a U. It can be a U pointing up, can be a U upside down, but it's going to be a U, right? It's not going to be 1, not going to be 2, not going to be 3, not 4. It might be 5, it might be 6. To figure out which one, if it is 5 or if it is 6, then you have to check the y-intercept. Check the y-intercept, and then you're going to choose the right answer. See if it's 5 or 6. And Kalia is right. Kalia is right. Kalia is right. Because you have to check the y-intercept. The next question. And I'm not going to give you the answers. I will actually give you the feedback here in the chat. Okay, you give me the answer, I give you the feedback. Determine if the function is constant, linear, quadratic, or other kinds. So you have these 4 options. Check out the function, and this function here have the square, right? Is 2x squared, and this is, every time you have a square, is going to be a quadratic function. If the square is the greater exponent, you have the square, is a quadratic function. And that's what you're going to do with all the other options. Identify if it's constant, linear, quadratic, or other kinds. Okay, let's work. Let's work on the quiz. It's I will give you a couple of minutes, and I might help you out, but I'm not going to give you the answer. Initially, I'm not going to give you the answer. Maybe at the end, I give you the answer if you're stuck. But at the beginning, you type your answers on the chat, and I give you feedback.